Divi 5 is a brand new system for designing professional websites using WordPress. This is a major upgrade from Divi 4. It has been built from the ground up and the UI is totally different. In this video, I want to show you how to get started with Divi 5 and show you a way around so that when you start designing your websites, it makes the process much easier. But before I get started, I'd like to remind you that if you want to learn how to design professional looking websites, I have a free course. The link to that is in the video description below. All you have to do is to sign up. So without wasting a lot of time, let me show you how to use Divi 5. I'm starting off this tutorial with a brand new install of WordPress. So this is my WordPress install. Now what I like doing is to clear up my space so that my dashboard does not have a lot of distracting things. So we're going to click here on screen options and then get rid of all these notifications right here. Okay, so we're almost there. I'm just going to click over here. The next thing we need to do now is to download Divi 5. So I've already gone ahead to Elegant Themes. I've downloaded it. So now it's time to install it on our brand new WordPress install. So to do that, you want to come over here to Appearance and then click on Themes. And then the next thing we need to do is to head over here and click on Add New Theme. Now, as I mentioned, I downloaded mine to my computer, so I need to locate it. So I'm going to click here on Upload Theme. Choose File, and it's right here, Divi 5. I'm going to double click and then click on Install Now. So now it's going to install Divi 5 onto my brand new WordPress install. We don't need to add anything at this moment. So once this is done, I'm going to click on Install Now. So the next thing we need to do is to activate. So I'm going to click here on Activate, and then I need to log in and activate my license. So I'm going to come over here. So all I need to do now is to log into my Elegant Themes account, click on Login. So this is going to require me to add my authentication code for my two-factor authentication. So I just done this for extra security. So I'm going to open up my app and enter the numbers 632 640. Okay, next I'm going to click on Login. So now my WordPress install is now connected with Elegant Themes, which means that my license is now active. Okay, so here's the thing. This is the main dashboard right here, and if we need to check for any notifications, we need to come over here to Dashboard, and this will pretty much tell you what's missing. So on the top here, it's telling me that my license is now active and Divi is up to date. So at this point, we can start designing our websites right away, and there are several ways to start designing your website. So over here, we have what are known as quick sites. So these are ready to go websites which are available for you to install. So if I click on that, we have two more options here. We have generate my website with AI, and we also have use pre-made starter site. So let's just take a look here and see what we have on the starter site. So far we have quite a couple of websites. So we have quite a few here to choose from. I mean, it's not a lot, but this is good enough to get you up and running. So we have a fashion one here, stylist, writer, and so on. So for this example, I'm not going to waste too much time with trying to use a starter site. I want to show you pretty much everywhere around Divi 5. All right, so over here, we also have the Divi 5 migrator. Now this is pretty cool if you want to migrate your website from Divi 4 to Divi 5. So this is where you would come and you can migrate your website that way. Over here, we have our theme options. Now, this place is very important, and we're going to spend a bit of time over here just to make sure you can find your way around. All right, so the first thing you want to do here is to check off quite a few things that you don't need. So let's go ahead. Now, I know I'm not going to use maps on this website, so I'm going to go ahead and disable that. I'm also going to disable all these icons. If I do need them, I can add them in the builder itself. Okay, so when you scroll down here, enable responsive images. Okay, that's fine. So far we've made those changes. I'm going to click on Save Changes. Okay, great. Let's move on to the next tab, which is the navigation. So here, exclude pages from the navigation bar. Yes, we want to exclude the sample page because we don't want it on there. Show drop-down menus, that's fine. Display home link. Okay, that's fine. Over here on the categories, exclude this. Okay, we want to exclude the uncategorized category from showing up. Next, we're going to come over here to general settings. and we're just going to leave this as it is. Now over here on the builder, there's quite a few things. Enable Divi Builder on posts. So we want to make sure that it's enabled on all these posts, which is fine. And then over here on the layout, show comments on posts. I think we can leave that as it is. Place thumbs on posts. Again, we're going to leave that as it is. All right. So far so good. I'm going to hit save changes. So now back over here on the general, we need to now add our color palette, because this color palette is going to follow us pretty much everywhere as we're designing our website. So it's important that we generate our color palette. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace these colors with our own colors. So what I normally do is I use this service called coolers.co to generate my colors. So I'm going to click here and say start generator. Now, if you have your main base color, you can just come over here and enter it and then start generating colors that work well with it. So far I don't have my colors, so I'm going to start from scratch. So I pretty much like this red here. So I'm going to lock this one here, and then I'm going to press the space bar to go through this to see if there's any other colors that I may like that can work well with my color here. So I'm just going to continue on until I find something interesting. So I think I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to lock it. So what I'm going to do here is I want to look for a primary color, a color that's going to be used the most on my website. So I have to go with a very, very light shade. So this is how I'll choose that light shade. It's called Honeydew. I'm going to lock that. And then now I need to look for a base color, a really dark color. So what we can also do is we can delete this one here and perhaps maybe choose a really dark version from this. So I'm going to copy my color here and paste it here like that. So what I'm going to do now is choose a really dark version. So I'm going to come all the way down here until I get perhaps maybe this color right here. Okay, so these are my main three colors that I'm going to use. So now let's go ahead and copy these. I may also want to find a few versions which are lighter so that I can add my text on this light background. So we might as well do it now. So I'm going to go in and copy the color here, and I'm going to paste it over here like that. And then just like what we did before, we're just going to come down and choose a color. Yeah, I think that could work. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so these are going to be my main colors. So there's one color that's missing, which is our action color. This is the color for our links on our website. So let's go ahead and add that as well. So let me just lock this one here and then click on this plus button. So, oops. I almost got rid of my base color here. In fact, you know what? I could use this as my action color because this works well with my palette anyways. But if you're not sure about that one, we can always press the space bar and look for more colors. All right. So now that we have this now, the next step is to copy our colors and add them onto our website. So I'm going to come over here. So this is going to be my first one. I'm going to paste it. Move on to the next one. And again, just like what we did before, I'm going to copy that. Now, color is very, very important in web design. I mean, if you don't take this serious, this can make or break your design. It's going to look really, really very amateurish. So you really want to take this step here very, very serious. Okay, so I've added all my colors from my color palette. The next thing I need to do is now to add white, because we're always going to use white on our website. Okay, so that's my white. And then I also need some grays for my text on my website. So let's go ahead and start off with black. Oops. Okay, and then now we just need some dark grays for our text. So I'm going to go with 42, 42, 42. And let's add black as well. Okay, so we need to add a lighter gray like that. All right, so now that we have our color palette, pretty much we are good to go. Let's go ahead and hit save. Now there's also another area that we need to go in and make some changes, but before we do that, I just want to go in and just make sure that we don't have anything else enabled that we don't need. All right, so far so good. The next place we need to go is in the theme customizer. So we're going to come over here on the theme customizer and make a few changes. So what I prefer doing so far is to use the header that we get over here for our website. So I'm going to go into my header and navigation, go into my primary menu bar. So my menu height, I'd like to set this at 80. Okay. And then the logo max height, we can set this to 60. For our text size, I prefer 16 pixels. And then for my fonts now, so as you can see here, we don't have our default fonts. So ideally, I want to set my fonts over here. So for this example, I'm going to use Poppins. Go ahead and select it. So you can see here, it's been updated. Now it's asking for my active link color. So remember, we went in and added our color palette. So it is right here. So this now is going to be my active link color, which is brilliant. And for my text color, again, remember, we set up our colors here, the grays. So I'm going to go with this gray here as my color. Now, I'm not sure why it has, I think it's 56. Okay, it has some transparency here. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's going to be my text color. Okay, so moving on, the background color is fine. The drop down menu color. So we don't have any blues in our color palette. So let's go ahead and choose our color. So I'm going to go with, let's go with this gray as well. Okay. All right. So now that we have our colors here, I'm just going to go back. Now let's head over to, back over here to general settings. All right, so first of all, we've got layout settings. Now our width here is very small. So from 1080, we want to change this to 1280. Or you can go with 1366, 1440, and so on if you want a bigger screen. So in fact, for this example here, let's go with 1366. Okay, our gutter width is set to 3. I think I prefer 2 because I don't like the gaps too wide. Okay, so far so good. It's talking about our primary color here and our secondary color. So let's go ahead and add our color. And for my secondary color here, I'm going to add the other one and hit publish. Now I just noticed something. We're on our layout settings. So the next part here is our typography. So again, our body size here needs to be 16 or even 17. So you can see here that it's grown. My text size, my text header size, I'm going to go with say 44. And then over here on the default, I'm going to set this to Poppins. But of course, you want to choose your colors ahead of time, in your fonts ahead of time. But I just want to go with Poppins because I just prefer this. All right, so for my header here, I'm going to go with bold because I prefer my headings to be bold. And then for my body font, again, we're going to set this to Poppins. And it should be here somewhere. There we go. All right, so I have my fonts here, and let's correct our link color. So for our link color, we said this was our action one, if you recall. Let's hit publish. Now, I know this process here could be a bit tedious, but this is going to help you when you start designing your websites because this has to be done beforehand. Otherwise, you're going to spend so much time clicking all over the place. So setting everything here in your theme options is very, very important. Okay, so now that I have all my fonts, I have all my sizes all set, pretty much I'm good to go. I'm not going to worry about the background here. And we could go in and sort out our footer, but we're going to do that with a totally different process. Now, if you have any CSS, you can come over here and enter all your CSS over here. All right, so pretty much we are done here. So the next step now is to set your home page. So first of all, let's head over to our pages, click on all pages, because I know we have this sample page and the privacy policy. So what you want to do here is to edit this, and we're just going to rename this to home, like that. And we're just going to make sure our link here is going to be set to home. Okay, so once we're done with that, the next step now is to head over back and set our home page as the main page, because if we do go to our website right now, in fact, let's open this in a new tab, it is going to show our blog page, okay, and we don't want that. Okay, so we're going to come back and go to appearance, and then we're going to go to menus and make sure we set our menu as the primary menu. We're going to give the menu a name like that, create menu, and then we're going to add this to our home like that and hit save. And then the next thing we need to do is to go to our settings, reading, and then set our static page to home. So now when we go to our landing page of our website, if we refresh, you're just going to notice that we now have the home, which was our sample page. All right, that's great. Now I know we have this crazy footer here. We can get rid of it by coming over here. In fact, this is the next place we need to go. The next step now is to come over here to Divi and then click on the Divi builder. Now this is a very good place because this is where you get to create your templates. So if you want to disable the footer, like what I've just done here, if I hit save changes and I go to my website and refresh, you'll notice that now we don't have a footer anymore. So it's a really, really powerful place, and I'll show you how to use that as well. All right, so now that we have this, let me show you now around the UI itself as we start designing our page. So I'm going to come over here to all pages, and let's head over now to our home page. I'm going to click on edit with Divi. So with this set now, there's also a few ways that we can start designing. First of all, let's delete this because we don't need this one here. So on the left here, we have this plus button. So this is what we use to add our layout. So we also have what are known as pre-made layers. So we can actually come over here and click on the layer, the layout. We can scroll through it and just pretty much take a look at it and see what the layout is like. I mean, if this is something that you like, then you can click on use this layout. Now there's quite a lot. I mean, this is where Elegant Themes spent a lot of time creating all these layouts before they started producing these starter sites. So these are also categorized. So if you go to business here, it pretty much shows you all the business ones. So you can see, you can scroll through these. There's quite a lot: financial advisor, air and heating, risk management, and so on. So pretty much majority of the sectors that you find in the industry, you'll probably find it over here. Okay. Now, if we want to look for other, you can just click on this little icon here, and this will just drill through all the layouts. So if you're happy with one, you can just click here and then say use this layout, and this layout now is going to be pulled onto your page, and then all you have to do is to go in and start making changes to this layout and replace the content with yours. Okay, so that's the layouts. Right, so let's say you want to start designing this page yourself. Well, here's the thing. If you hover over this area, you're going to notice that we have this main outline here. Now, this one is the section. So let me just show you how sections work. Now, sections separate your content on your page. So let's go in here and duplicate this a few times. So now you can see we have two. Now, sometimes I know if I move my mouse away, we can't really see where the lines are. So in this interface, it has a really cool feature called X-ray. So if I click on X-ray, now we have these thin lines which show us where everything is. So it's easier now for me to come in here, click on, for example, section settings. And then let's say I want to add my background color. Now remember, we created a color palette. So this is where we get to start adding our colors. So for example, let's say that's going to be my background color. It's easier now to find. Now, what is also fascinating about this color palette is, let's say you want to use variations of colors. If you click on these three little dots here, you notice now that we have even more colors. So this base template or base color palette has produced even more colors to work with. So it just makes it easier now for me to add more colors as I'm designing my websites, and these colors are generated using an algorithm, and it makes sure that these colors work well together in our design, which is brilliant. So now that we have our two sections, the question now is, how do we add content onto this section? So let's start off with the bottom one here. The next step now is to click on add new row. So this is what's going to pretty much house all our content. So there's several ways that we can set up our rows. We have single column, 2 columns, 3 columns, and so on. So for this example, let's go with 1 column like that. Now it's time to add all our modules. So we have quite a lot of modules. So I would highly recommend that you first have a sketch of your website, or you have this designed in Figma or some application, so that you know exactly how you're going to be putting your website together. So for this example here, I'm just going to go in and search for my blurb. Now over here you can also do a quick search. So if you start typing, it starts narrowing down everything. So you can see here now my blurb is there, which is brilliant. So with my blurb selected, all I need to do now is to click anywhere in here, and I'm pretty much good to go in terms of starting to design this blurb. So I can also click here on module settings, but as I mentioned, there's no need, because anywhere you click here, you're pretty much good to go. So if you want to make changes to this blurb, you now have to keep your eye on the right. Okay, so this is the panel that we have all our design options. So we have our texts, image, link, and so on. So let's head over here to image and icon. So let's say I want to add or use my own icons. I can just come over here, select files. So what I'm going to do quickly is to add some of my images that I have here. So at least I have them on my computer. Okay, so those are my images. I'm going to be using these in my in this tutorial. All right, so let's say I want to use icons. All you have to do is to click on use icons, and we have quite a lot of icons here. You can actually filter here with line icons and solid icons and so on. So let's say I choose this as my icon. Now, do you notice that my color that I set as my primary color now is showing up as I'm designing, which means I don't have to spend so much time going in and changing the colors as I'm designing. Everything is all set for me. So let's say I want to center all this. I can come over here to design, text, and then I can center my text. Now, if I want to further customize this, I can also do that. So let's say I want to change my text. I can reduce the amount of text that I have here, like that. And now I've gone down to 2 lines. So there are so many options now when it comes to customizing this particular blurb or this particular item on my website. There's animation here. I can go in and animate this. I can slide if I need to. I can fade. I can bounce. But if I don't need anything, I can just set it to no. And then for my image and icon, I can say no as well. Here we have our box shadow. So if I want to add my box shadow here, I can go in and add my box shadow. So as you can see, there's so many design elements that we have in here, which can make our designs look awesome. So as we can see here, this doesn't look great because it doesn't have enough spacing. So I'm going to add 2 rem to the top, bottom, and I'm also going to do this to the left and the right as well. Okay, now over here on sizing, you can see our content width is set to 550. Now what I normally do is set this to 100, because then I can go in and work on this much easier as I start adding more. Now this icon here looks way too big, so if you wanted to customize this, you'd go to your icon. So let's find our icon. There we are, image and icon. And now I can reduce the size like that. And if I wanted to add a background to this design, or before I add my background, why don't we go in and add our border just to give this a bit of rounded corners. So as you can see, everything that I'm doing is all in one place, right? So let's go with 6 all around. Okay, so what I can do now is go in and add my background. So to do that, I can come over here to my content, background, and I'm going to add white as my background color. Oops, I'm not sure if this worked because I added my radius here. Okay, the radius hasn't worked. Okay, we're going to go back to that. So now that we have this design, what we can also do, and this is a really cool feature, we can set this as a preset. So I'm going to come over here. Okay, so I can say new preset from current styles or add new preset. So let's add a new preset. All right, so now that I've added it, on the bottom here, I can go in and save preset. And then I can go ahead and save. Okay, now when I click on this drop down, you're going to notice that we have this blurb here as a preset. So let's say at any point as I'm designing my website, I have my 3 columns here. I go to my blurb. You can see this is the default. But while this is selected, I can now come over here and choose my preset. Oops. I can now come over here and choose my preset, and that will be the preset now that will take this design that we've just done here on the bottom. Okay. All right, so let's continue on. So what I can do now is to come over here to my row settings, and I'm just going to duplicate this a few times. And now you can see we have our design. All I have to do now is to go in and change my icon. So let's say this is going to be my new icon. Come over here, change my other icon. So as you can see now, we're starting to have a design that's looking pretty cool. All right, so we're going to need to have a text module here because we need to go in and give the section a title. So now, if you want to drag, and this is another thing, you can just hover over here, click, and then drag to the top. Oops. Like that. So now my text is now over to the top. So if I select all my text here, I can now change this to a heading. Now, do you notice that if you want to make any changes, again, you come over here. So let's get rid of the text and let's call this section A, heading, like that. So now that I have this, I can center it and I can now set this to heading 2 or heading 3, like that. So pretty much our page is really coming together now. And if I wanted now to do a quick preview, I would come over here and click on preview. And this will open up in a new tab. And now it's showing me my preview of what I've done so far. So as you can see, it's very, very easy to use. And the more I add more content here, you'll start to realize how cool this is. So as I mentioned before, if you want to start customizing anything, just click on it like that. And now you can go in and start customizing it. So for example, let's get rid of these 2 words here and add a full stop. Okay, let's say I want to work on this one here. Yeah, I can just click on it, do the same thing, like that. And then if I want to work on this one, I can just click on that like that. So do you see now how cool it is to go in and start working on this design? Okay, so now that I have this, let's now choose a different way of setting up our homepage. So for this, I'm going to go in and click on new section. Now, instead of adding a regular section, I'm going to go with full width. So with full selected, I'm going to go with full width header. And now we have a totally different layout. So now this one here at the top, I'm going to click and drag it to the bottom. like that. Now, did you notice that I just clicked anywhere in there and then it just worked? So this is also another design element that we have in Divi, but this was also in Divi 4, by the way. So if we click here, we can now go in and further customize this. So let's say I want to start adding my content. I can go to my design here, layout. So first of all, I can center my text. I can make it full screen. So now it's covering the whole screen. At any point, you can come over here and remove X-ray if you want to take a closer look at your design. And now you can see it looks much better. Now over here, I'm thinking, now this is something you'll find that as you're designing, you may want to go back in and make a few changes. So let's go to border and add a bit of radius. Okay, now it's working. So I'm going to go with 6 and let's add a color and some border width. Okay, so we're going to go with 2, but as we can see here, we need a color that we can manipulate here that is very close to what we're designing. So I'm going to add some transparency here just to add a bit of border onto my design, but we want to make it very, very subtle. So I like this. Now that I have this design, I want to show you one quick tip, and that is if I right click on here, I can copy module style and then just paste it on these other ones here. You see that? That was a quick move. I've just gone in and copied and pasted the styles from one module to another, and this improves my workflow. All right, so now that we have this all set, let's start working on this now. So ideally we want to add a nice background image here so that it's really attractive when people come to our website. So we're going to go to our background here and go to, in fact, you know what? We want to get rid of this and then go to this third tab and add our image. So we have 2 images here. I'm going to go with this one, upload image. Okay, so do you see how easy it is to go in and add my image? So we are now starting to craft our page, and so far so good. But as you can see, we can't use it as it is because this now is making it difficult for us to read what is on the text here. So we can now go to our layout and let's bring it back to the left. So with that, what's important here is we also have this option called overlay. So with overlay, I can go in and add my overlay color and then drag the slider down to add more transparency until I'm happy with my level here. Now, of course, this red doesn't work really well, but we have the ability to go in and start playing around with different colors. So now I really like black, so you can always adjust here until you're happy with how it looks. So you can now see that our page is really taking shape, and this overlay here is a really cool feature. All right, so now that we have our overlay, we also need to go to our text here. No, sizing actually. So content width is on 100%. We need to bring this down because our text is going all the way to the end. So let's bring it down to about, say, 44. Okay. And now you can go in and start customizing your text. So for our title text here, we can make the text bigger like that. I mean, you can go crazy. I'm on 99 right now, but it's up to you. I mean, how big you want it to be. So, okay, we're going to go with 91, 92. All right. So I'm doing this because I want to show you something pretty cool. Now we're going to go to our text here, which is our normal description text or our body text. And again, let's bump this up to 34. And then we're going to give it some line height. So let's just increase this so that it's easier to read. Okay, we're going to go with 1.2. Okay, that's better. Now this text is a bit too much, and I'm sure you can agree with me on that. So let's just delete some of this, because ideally it just needs to be a description text. All right, so now that I have this, all I need to do is to work on the button here, but we're going to waste too much time on that. The next thing I want to talk to you about is how to do responsive mobile response editing. So here now, all I need to do is to click on the tablet. Now, do you see that we still have our setting that we had over here on the desktop, right? So over here, we want to make sure that this now is 100%. So let's go ahead and go to settings. In fact, let me scroll down here and see if everything else is okay. Yeah, and everything seems to be fine. But over here, we need to go to our settings, making sure you click the right thing. So on our settings here, we want to go to sizing. And instead of 44%, we want to go all the way to 100%. Now let's take a look at the phone. And over here on the phone now, 100% is fine, but you can see the text doesn't look very good. So this is where now we need to go into our title text. Now this is how you customize your text in mobile design. Okay, so we could go with 62. 62 seems fine. And over here on our body text, we can reduce this now down to, could we go with say 24? Yep. And let's say you want to do something a bit more fancy. Maybe you want to center this text while you're on that view. You can always go ahead and do that as well. So you can see that it's centered. We can do that with the button as well. So you'd go to the button here and center it as well. But anyway, this is how you work with responsive design. Okay, very, very easy. So let's say you've designed this and you are pretty much happy with this design and you want to share this with someone. Well, you can come over here, import, export, and we could say home layout, export, and now that's gone. So that means my layout now has been exported. I can share this with someone else or my design team. And if you want to make money, of course, with these layouts, you can actually sell the actual layout itself. But ideally, you want to sell the whole website as a package. But of course, this is how easy you can do this. Now, there's also another option. So let's say you want to save this for future use, but to your library. Well, all you need to do is to come over here to your library and then give it a name, layout. So let's call this hero layout, like that. So there's also an option to save it to the cloud, because Divi also has a service called Divi Cloud. This is like a Dropbox for your website, but we're not going to use that for now. So I'm now going to save all three sections as the individual items. Okay, so now I can save this. I can also give this a category if I wanted to. Save to library. Now this has been saved to my library. So let's say I want to go in and add another section. I can just click here on this plus button. Now, do you notice now we have this option which says add from library? This is where you can now go to your library and start adding all the layouts that you've designed. Okay, so here's my layout. So this time I'm going to go ahead and make sure I save this. So as I'm looking at my interface here, there's also another area that we can drill in, and that is this button here. So we can work in dark mode as well if we prefer that, and but I prefer working in the light mode. And then over here we also have a few more options or settings. We also have the wireframe view. So if you prefer designing in this wireframe view, you could pretty much go ahead and do that. And we also have the layers. So if you've seen quite a few page builders out there, you're going to notice that they have a similar thing here where they have this layers where they design. In fact, let's get rid of this so you can see what I'm talking about. So I can now move on to my actual section and start working with it. Okay. Next, we also have our builder settings here. So I can say builder view mode, desktop view. and the history level, state level here. There's quite a few settings I can go in and do. I can also enable the admin bar. So this allows me to go back to my settings very, very easy. All right. So now that we have this, I mean, I'm sure you have an idea now of how this interface works. We have our layers here. We have our mobile response settings here. We also have all our design tab. Oh, by the way, we also have advanced. So if you want to add your CSS ID and classes, this is where you'd come in and add them. We also have your custom CSS and a bunch of features like conditions. So we could actually set up a condition here whereby we could say this page or this section can only be seen by logged in users. So this is pretty cool. It's very, very powerful, but this is a bit more advanced, and I will be discussing this in future videos. All right, so now that we have this all set, now let's go and take a look and see how we can create our footer, because remember, our page here does not have a footer. In fact, let me show you what it looks like so far. So in our preview here, I'm just going to click on home. In fact, our changes haven't been made because I restored from my desktop that I exported earlier. All right, so we don't have a footer here. So let me show you how to add your footer. So we're going to go back. And this area here is very powerful in Divi. It's the theme builder. This is where we get to set all our pages or our templates. Now, let me just show you quickly how you would set your 404 page, because at the moment, let's say someone comes to your website and they want to search for something. I'm just going to add random letters here. This is the page they would see if they can't find anything on the website. Now, this, I'm sure you can agree, it's ugly. So the area that we can fix, or we can get this sorted, is this theme builder area. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say build new template, and you just define the template. We're going to say this is a 404 page and create. So this one here does not need to have a header and a footer, but it's, of course, it's up to you. Add custom body, build custom body. So now I can go in and add my text. So what I need here is a call to action. So I'm going to search for call, and there we go, call to action. So let's just call this text on the top here, error 404, like that. And then, you know, the text that comes along with it. The page, the content you're looking for does not exist. Okay, so that's my text right there. And I also want to add my button. So I'm going to come over here to link. So for the button URL, guess what? I'm going to add this to my home page. Okay, so instead of saying click here, we're going to say go home. How about that? Okay, now I know I could do a complete design of this, but I just want to show you quickly how powerful this is. Let's save that, exit, and then save one more time. All right, so now if I refresh this, or if I hit enter, notice what happens. Now we have a custom made 404 page, and if I click on go home, this now takes me to the home page, and I just done this in less than a minute. So this is very, very powerful. So now we can go in and create our footer. So I'm going to say build global footer. All right, so again, we have the same interface that we had when we were designing our page. So all you need to do is to come over here, add your single column. And for this, we're going to add a text module, or we can even use a blurb, it doesn't really matter. So you can now start adding your links here. So I'm going to say link A, link B, and link C. Okay, let's just go for link D. All right, so on the top here, let's just call this my links, like that. So we want this to be an H5. How about that? And then now we can just add some dummy links in here by coming over here. Where's the link item? Oh, there we go. And we can just add our link like that. All right, so we're not going to waste too much time here. Let's go ahead now and duplicate this. I'm going to click here on my row settings, duplicate this a few times. Okay, so let's say these are my footer links. Now I can go into my section and add a background color. Look at that. So let's say my footer now is complete. All I have to do is hit save, exit, and then I'm going to save changes one more time. And then now on my page here, if I refresh, you notice that now we have a footer, and this is a global footer. Whatever changes I make are going to be applied pretty much across on every single page. This is why it is very, very important that we get to master how this theme builder works. So there are several templates that you can create. So if you say build new template, you can see here we can create a template for a specific page, all posts, blogs, and so on, specific posts, archive pages, projects, and so on. Now, what is cool about this as well is you can actually create templates for other products. Like let's say you install WooCommerce. You can create a template for the WooCommerce product page, or you can do that for LearnDash. So all these other softwares can be added automatically onto the theme builder, and you can go in and customize the build of these areas. It's really, really powerful. I really like that. So this is something that you may want to take a look at and spend your time in as you're designing, but it's very, very easy to find. Now, the cool thing as well with this is you can also export this by clicking over here, and you can export all the templates, or you can export individual ones. So you can see here, I can export the 404 page only, or I can export the default website template or templates. Okay, so it's pretty powerful. So once you hit save all changes, everything is all saved. All right, so pretty much this is how the Divi 5 looks like, and pretty much I've shown you where to go, what to click, and how to work within a few items. Let me know what you think in the comments box below, and thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to sign up for your free WordPress course. The link to that is in the video description below. I'm out.